Here's your news for February 1st, 2020. We're starting off with some big news from WWE's corporate side, as apparently an impulse decision led to WWE stock plummeting and the company losing its co-presidents. PW Insider reports that Michelle Wilson and George Barrios' recent departure was down to, quote, irreconcilable differences, and that the two apparently conflicted with Vince McMahon's vision. The report says, PWInsider.com is told that an internal announcement released by the company to its employees was even more direct, alluding to irreconcilable differences in the company's strategic priorities. Barrios and Wilson had one vision and Vince McMahon had another. Vince's vision will always win. He's Vince McMahon, the end. The atmosphere at WWE's Stamford headquarters is reportedly very uncomfortable right now, and Brad Shepard has said that Barrios and Wilson's departures may have been down to their open opposition to the rebooted XFL. It's no secret that the company is currently involved in a lawsuit, as people are wanting to see where the XFL money is coming from, and it'll be very interesting to see where the WWE goes from here. One thing we do know is that next week's 2019 fourth quarter earnings will be a very interesting read, and according to sources, the departure of Wilson and Barrios was an impulse decision by the boss. WWE COO Paul Triple H Levesque and Chief Brand Officer Stephanie McMahon were apparently left in the dark about this decision, and Dave Meltzer has said that Wilson and Barrios are being used as scapegoats ahead of the 2019 Q4 earnings, which are said to be lower than expected. This is a very complicated situation, and things will get more complicated after the earnings report, as after the co-presidents left, WWE stock took a huge tumble and continued to fall past a 20% loss after trading ended. The bad press is the last thing Vince McMahon needs mere days away from the relaunch of the XFL, and another thing the boss doesn't need is investors wanting answers about how the company is handling their money. On December 26th, a lawsuit was filed that aims to prove whether WWE senior officers kept WWE resources in the company, as a report by Bloomberg says. The lawsuit, filed December 26 in Delaware Chancery Court by an Oklahoma firefighters pension fund, claims that there is a credible basis to believe that Vince McMahon and other WWE senior officers breached their duties to investors by diverting valuable resources to the XFL. Brad Shepard also noted that according to his sources, big investors are considering pulling out, which seems to be in line with the writing on the wall. One person who can tell you a lot about Wilson and Barrios' time with the company is Zach Linder, a former WWE digital producer who shared a story about his time in the company. In a tweet, Linder spoke about a parking issue at the headquarters he worked at and how the company chose not to fix it, saying, "I'll never forget the WWE all-hands meeting when staff, frustrated with limited parking at the office, asked about renovations to the garage, and George Barrios said they had considered it but decided to buy a new private plane instead. Anyway, I wish him well." In layman's terms, the case in the Delaware Chancery Court is seeking to find out how McMahon is keeping his two companies separate, and the plaintiff is someone who owns 107 shares of WWE stock, valued at over $6,500 according to Forbes. The Oklahoma Firefighters Pensions and Retirement Fund is seeking to discover how WWE is being compensated for any owned trademarks, as there's a question whether Vince had deals secured when he made his XFL relaunch announcement in 2018. Another topic of interest is whether McMahon has WWE's interests at heart when making deals as part of Alpha Entertainment, the parent company of the XFL. Among the list of questions for the boss, people are trying to find out whether Alpha paid a fair market value to WWE for their intellectual property, the original XFL, as if they didn't, this could be a serious breach of trading standards. The case is just getting going, and it could be a long time until we hear anything, but what we do know is that WWE's stock fell from $62 a share to a meager $45 after the departure of Wilson and Barrios. Expect more news to come out about the case over the coming months and maybe years, as Vince McMahon's transition from the squared circle to the gridiron may see the boss end up in a courtroom. Now on to some sad news, as two-time WWE Hall of Famer Bret Hart has revealed that he has skin cancer. In an Instagram post, the Hitman said that he has scheduled for the cancerous part of his shoulder to be removed soon and urged fans to get checked if they see any signs of any kinds of cancer. This, unfortunately, isn't the first time the Hitman has fought with the Big C, and we here at Slatrock would like to send our best to the excellence of execution. From one medical report to another now, as Santino Marella shocked a lot of people when he appeared in this year's Women's Royal Rumble, but nearly didn't make it to the ring. Appearing as the number 29 entrant, Santina, Marella didn't eliminate anyone and revealed on the After the Bell podcast that he wasn't exactly feeling right. He said, "The thing is, I got sick. Like 2 days before the Rumble, I started feeling it coming on. And the day before, I had like a 15-hour day. But when you go through that curtain, you're oblivious to anything that is wrong with you. The audience completely electrifies you and saturates you with all this energy that's incredible. But yeah, it was a tough day." Given that Santino didn't appear on Raw the next night, it seems this was a one-off appearance for the former Intercontinental Champion, who has plenty of commitments outside of WWE to keep him busy. Though Santino didn't eliminate anyone at this year's Rumble pay-per-view, one person who did leave an impression was the returning Edge, who was assaulted on Raw the next night by Randy Orton. With a new contract, it's almost certain that Edge will battle the Viper at WrestleMania, and this return may also lead to the return of Christian, someone both men know well. On Twitter, Brad Shepard commented that a source in WWE has said that Christian being involved in the storyline is a possibility, and that this may even lead to a match for Captain Charisma if he's medically cleared. Though Edge had a memorable retirement from in-ring competition in 2011, Christian quietly retired with little fanfare in 2014. But it looks like the leader of the Peeps may have one more match after all. Though everyone is focused on WrestleMania 36 on April 5th, the road to the granddaddy of them all does run through Riyadh, as WWE will host Super Showdown in Saudi Arabia on February 27th. At the show, The New Day will defend their SmackDown tag titles against The Miz and John Morrison after the Dirt Sheet hosts defeated The Revival, Lucha House Party, and Heavy Machinery on this week's SmackDown in a #1 Contenders match. It's been approximately a year since Miz last held gold in WWE, and over a decade since Morrison was a champion in WWE, and both men will be hoping to break these streaks later this month. Speaking of SmackDown, this week's show recovered nicely from the Royal Rumble, and 3 segments have already been announced for next week. On the February 7th show, the Dirt Sheet will return with The Miz and Morrison, while the Firefly Funhouse will also return, hopefully to lay out some plans for The Fiend at Super Showdown. Daniel Bryan will also have a segment on the show, as fans will get to hear from the former world champion following his brutal loss to The Fiend in their strap match at the Royal Rumble. More news from SmackDown now, as this week was a good show for Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, who became the #1 contenders for the Women's Tag Team Championships. Defeating Fire and Desire, the win was a hard-fought affair for the pair, but Bliss didn't have the best of luck exiting the ring as she accidentally crotched herself on the ring apron. The pint-sized powerhouse was able to see the funny side of things as she took to Twitter to joke that the apron got, quote, right up there. And hopefully she'll have better luck when Bliss and Cross meet the Kabuki Warriors for the tag titles somewhere down the line. This week's show also saw the WWE finally get around to a loser eats dog food match as Roman Reigns and King Corbin hoped to settle their beef. After the stipulation was used at WWE live events, it was only a matter of time before it came to TV, and after the Usos and Roman defeated Corbin, Robert Roode, and Dolph Ziggler, the big dog made Corbin eat the slop fit for a King Charles Spaniel. This may be the end of the feud between the pair, which has been going on for months, but there's no telling what WWE has planned on the road to WrestleMania. While last night was a terrible night for the King, the same can't be said for Braun Strowman, who captured the Intercontinental Championship from Shinsuke Nakamura. With this win, Strowman captures his first official singles title in WWE after being a Raw Tag Team Champion and the Greatest Royal Rumble winner, and the second man to hold this new design of the historic title. As for Nakamura, his Intercontinental title reign, much like his United States Championship reign, was lengthy but lackluster, so here's hoping the same doesn't happen with the monster among men. One man who knows all about lengthy title reigns is John Cena. and though the 16-time world champion hasn't competed in over a year, he still remains a popular figure in wrestling. This week, Cena gave his review of the Royal Rumble to Sports Illustrated's Jimmy Traina, and when asked, claimed that Brock Lesnar was the best in-ring performer of all time. He said, "I thought his performance at the Rumble was a clinic on how to establish yourself, how to establish those around you, establish the championship, establish the importance of one event. He did so in less than 30 minutes, and I certainly don't have the skill set to do that." While Cena may be a fan of the Beast, not everyone was pleased with Lesnar dumping out a total of 13 superstars before being eliminated by Drew McIntyre, whom he will face at WrestleMania, with the WWE Championship on the line. Now, it's been no secret that the Revival haven't exactly been pleased with their WWE run for a while, and it seems that Dash and Dawson want out yet again. According to Bodyslam.net's Cassidy Haynes, the pair reportedly turned down deals which would pay each man $70,000, and the contracts of both men are set to expire in a few months. On Twitter, Scott Dawson added fuel to the rumors that the pair is leaving, as he tweeted out a quote about WWE not seeing tag team wrestling as a money-drawing part of the company. This tweet quickly got the attention of AEW star Joey Janela, who replied saying that tag wrestling has seen better in the opposition company. In January 2019, both Dash and Dawson requested the release from WWE, which was turned down. But it seems like WWE may not have a choice but to let them go this time, much to the delight of those in charge of AEW. One man who knows all about making money in wrestling as well as outside of the ring is The Rock, who is currently preparing for another electrifying performance this Sunday. This weekend, the Brahma Bull will be a part of Super Bowl 54 and gave a teaser on Instagram showing himself walking out with a mic in his hand. As someone who has conquered both the wrestling world and Hollywood, it looks like the Great One is set to make an impact with Fox at the Super Bowl, where the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs will compete this Sunday on Fox. Back to SmackDown now, and with Valentine's Day being less than 2 weeks away, romance is in the air on Team Blue. On the February 14th Valentine's Day edition of SmackDown, Otis will finally have his date with Mandy Rose after asking the Golden Goddess out on this week's show. The budding relationship between the two has been building for a while, with Otis even saving Rose from elimination during the Women's Royal Rumble, though this has caused friction in Fire and Desire, as Otis inadvertently cost Sonya Deville a match recently. The Valentine's Day edition of SmackDown will take place at the Rogers Arena in Vancouver, British Columbia, and it looks like the WWE Universe may only be a matter of weeks away from the roster's latest power couple. Now, we previously reported on WWE cutting down on the number of live events in the coming months, and though this will allow superstars to spend more time with their families, some of the people not happy with the change are the superstars themselves. A report by the Wrestling Observer revealed that several stars are concerned about the loss of earnings from competing less, and that these charges will mostly affect those already earning less than the top stars. It said, "There was a good amount of talent who had no idea about the cutback in house shows until they got their February booking sheets and saw how much it was cut down. While the top guys are making a lot of money these days, the rest of the crew will have their income affected by working so many fewer dates." Another downside of fewer house shows is that these untelevised events are where many lower card stars are able to improvise with their characters, and superstars are reported to have more fun when the show isn't being filmed. Hopefully WWE will be able to come to some sort of an agreement, as this is just the latest in a string of bad news that has been following the company recently. We're looking at WWE Backstage now, and CM Punk's next appearance has been announced for the February 11th edition of the show. On Twitter, Punk said he was already packing to appear on the show, as the best in the world will no doubt be his vocal self as he reflects on the Royal Rumble, the road to WrestleMania, and everything that's been happening behind the scenes. Though Punk will be on the February 11th show, that doesn't mean that next week's show on February 4th will be lacking in star power, as Drew McIntyre will make an appearance this coming Tuesday. Since winning the Men's Royal Rumble, McIntyre has been one of the most popular superstars in WWE, so expect the Scottish superstar to have plenty to say on Backstage in just a few days. We're taking a break from wrestling to go to the movies now, as next week we'll see the release of the latest movie from DC Comics, Birds of Prey. telling the story of Harley Quinn and her team of heroes, including Black Canary, Huntress, Renee Montoya, and Cassandra Cain. Early reviews of the film have been good, and wrestling fans will have another reason to see it. Newly released footage from outtakes in the shooting of the film have shown former WWE superstar Shad Gaspard sharing the screen with Margot Robbie, as it looks like he plays some sort of shirtless goon. This isn't the only example of the worlds of DC Comics and WWE crossing over, as Edge and Eve Torres have both had roles in the combined DC TV universe, which combines shows like Arrow, The Flash, and Supergirl under one umbrella. John Cena and The Rock also have upcoming roles in DC properties, with Cena playing a role in the upcoming Suicide Squad 2 film, while the Brahma Bull is set to take on the mantle of Black Adam, the DC anti-hero and sometimes adversary of Shazam. We'll have to see how big a part the former Crime Time member was able to snag in this DC Cinematic Universe film, and it's a pretty cool addition to his resume. And finally today, we've got some news from WWE Developmental Branch, as the company has announced 5 new superstar signings. Levi Muir, Candy Floss, Danny Luna, and the tag team of Pretty Deadly have all signed contracts with WWE, and all 5 new superstars were recently at the WWE's United Kingdom Performance Center in North London. A former powerlifter, Muir certainly has the strength to make it on the NXT UK roster, while the international experience of Floss, who is still just 20 years old, means she also brings a lot to the table. Fans may best know Luna for working in promotions such as Progress, while the team of Pretty Deadly, comprised of Sam Stoker and Lewis Howley, have impressed at recent WWE NXT UK events. Time will tell how all 5 fare in the WWE, but with the NXT UK brand growing stronger each year, the future looks bright for all of these new signings.